What's up, everyone? Beast Mode back here with the final match of RBET-5. This is obviously myself versus 10 foot. So it is a double elimination tournament. So actually, I lost to 10 foot in winners top four, and I ended up beating Silchus last round, and then I'm back in the finals, or I'm in the finals now. So I have to beat him twice to win the tournament. I know he's on Vayu Turbo, and we'll get into the match now. See a few things that I could have done differently. So hand here is obviously poor, right? No real setup. This card's pretty dead right now. This card is not. A lot of people are cutting this card from the deck. It's great late game, early game. You hate to see it. And he won the role to go first, so that's really important in Edison formats. Really important a lot in most formats, really. But so let's see here. And then I got Dust Shoot on top of it. So this is going to be curtains pretty quickly. He knows my whole hand now, sends back my only monster, which I still can't play if I wanted to. So I don't set anything here because I'm reading a Raikou, so I don't think there's much of a point to set a Solemn so you can just Raikou it. I'm hoping maybe I draw a Goblin Zombie or something I can just ram into the potential Raikou, so that's why we just pass. Plus he knows everything I have anyway, so setting something he just is going to make a read. So it ends up being a hamster. So I will tell you, from my experience, I have a really difficult time beating Vayu Turbo with this deck. Maybe I just don't entirely know how to play against the deck. That could be some of it. But I just can't seem to beat it. I've lost to him a few times. I've lost to other Vayu decks in RBET-4, the top 8 there. I lost to a couple of Vayu or Blackwing decks. The Blackwing deck themselves, I don't have too much of an issue with. You kind of just play around Icarus pretty well. But this deck here, I think the real problem is this hamster is really tough, because you're trying to make a read first turn. Is it a Vayu? Is it a Raikou? Is it a hamster? And every damn time I make a read, it's wrong. But you sub on Goblin Zombie and you attack into this, and then they search the Raikou, but then they sack the hamster for a Caius, and you lose your Goblin Zombie and you take a crap ton of damage. And then Raikous just pick apart Pyramid Turtles and the Recruiter. So I just feel like this matchup, and plus this deck is really fast. Zombies take a few turns to really set up. You need to have the Book of Life live, and unless you have one of the nut hands, where you just go crazy, zombies do take a few turns to kind of go to kind of set up the board and really make the big one-turn kill. Obviously, the hero zombie deck is more explosive. You can do that first turn, but so I just have a tough time with Vayu. I'm not sure if any of the other zombie players out there are having a tough time. Maybe I just haven't really grasped the matchup yet. I probably should, since Vayu is a top deck. So I really gotta refine how I play this matchup. But let's continue on here. So he knows my hand. This is why he's tributing for this. So he's just going very aggressive. He knows I have nothing. So if I have Solemn set, I could have Solemn this, possibly, but he probably doesn't go into this play knowing I have Solemn. So, and then I draw a Diva, which is obviously useless here. At best, it's going to be able to pick off this Raikou that I know is there, which is what we do. Kills the one that hasn't attacked. What does he have for Mills? Hasn't got quite the whole setup yet. At this point, we're just waiting for this game to be over, really. He summons this knowing that I have no actual live back rows, because he knows that the top deck I drew was a Diva, so he knows every card in my hand and every card on the field. We can't Book of Moon this. He can negate it, so we draw a Turtle here. If we summon Turtle and attack, we die to this because we can't book it, so we can't do that. Book of Life is still dead, and Burial's dead, so this is just one of those games where so he is obviously just baiting the Solemn. He knows that this is a Solemn, so we have to. We don't have a choice. So I think here there might be, let me see here. So he's going to gain life. There might be a play I can do here. Let me see. I haven't really watched this game. So right here, let's review and see what we could have done different. So Pyramid Turtle here could have grabbed Plague Spreader Zombie. Then I would have a Book of Life with the Pyramid Turtle. That's not really the most ideal. I would have to then book this attack. to keep the plague on the board. The other option is Zombie Master, but I don't have any monsters in my hand, so that's kind of useless. There's no synchro play, so I feel that really the choice is between this or a Plague Spreader Zombie, but this essentially gets me the Plague Spreader Zombie, and I don't have to waste a Book of Moon here, so I think this is just a better play. Maybe others can point out something else I could have done, but so that's what I do. I search the Plague, yep. So this is dead, this is dead. This is live now. So we have 2 playable cards. He knows both of these. So let's see what we do here. So we have to heavy in this situation because this is our only play that we can make. So if it doesn't stick, we just lose. Not that we're probably going to win this game anyway, sitting at 700 life, and he plays Caius and everything else. But so I activate heavy and I chain book because I want him to think that I draw something. I'm just trying to bait out life points. Really, you might as well throw this out there and see if he negates. There's no reason not to. And he's thinking about it now. He doesn't know what I drew, and he actually pays 1,000. So we got a free 1,000 just by activating cards appropriately. So at this point here, we can obviously do a Book of Life play into a Plague. So we could take, we could make Yugioh and take the Thought Ruler. That's one option. So then we have Yugioh Thought Ruler, but he still has the Armed Wing on the board, and he's sitting at 3 darks right now. But if I Book of Life, he'll be at 2. The other option is just making Brio and pitching the dead Brain Control and the dead cards and going from there. So let's see what I end up doing here. So I grab Mizuki. I'm not sure what else I do here. So I attack here, I'm guessing. So one play I could have done here is actually use the Mizuki and brought out the Pyramid Turtle. And that way I had defense because this card is the one card that beats me. So that's something I could have done differently here. What's his hand? He has Barry. It doesn't matter. I still would lose, but as I'm at 700 and he is able to Brain Control and discard the Sirocco to the graveyard to bounce my Burial, which I would have been able to chain for the Mizuki, but and then he's going to be able to Burial back, so he would have my Brio and at least another guy on the board. So I don't think it would matter here. If I had the Yugioh and the Thought Ruler play, he would still have the monster on the board, and he would have Brain Controlled the Yugioh and attacked, and then attacked directly. So I think the play here would have been to Pyramid Turtle just for defense. But again, he has the Brain Control, and he can just pitch. He can literally pitch both cards if he wants from his hand and just attack me directly. So yeah, this isn't going to matter, but looking at this now, I do think that it was probably the right play. Like, just because you make the right play and lose does not mean that it's the wrong play, right? It's still the right play. You should be making the right plays regardless of the outcome of them. So the outcome here should have been to banish the Mizuki and special summon. Even Goblin Zombie would have been fine, but I think Pyramid Turtle would have been a bit better. So he just has the Brain Control, which is fine. And like I said, if he Brain Controls in that situation, discards the other card in his hand, he can bounce the turtle and just attack for game. So that game was rough. We didn't draw well. We got dust shooted, and it's hard to win when you get dust shoot first turn because they just play around your whole hand. We could have made one different play there, but in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't have changed the outcome as far as I can tell. So this hand is definitely playable here. Far better than the last. When I see a lure turn 1, I hold it depending on what's in my hand here. I'm okay with getting rid of a Mystic Tomato. Goblin Zombie or in my hand I would not allure here, so this is fine. So we draw traps here. I set the Torrential in case he just sets Raikou. That way I don't have to commit. So at this point I say, well, if it's Raikou, he can hit my back row, and I still have a Bottomless or some follow-up. I'm okay with that. If it's a Hamster, I'm okay with that too, because then he's going to search Raikou, and then next turn flip Raikou, and I can Torrential, at least get rid of everything. So I think this is fine. So we actually finally got to kill something, and it wasn't a hamster. That works out turn 1, or turn 2 for me. So he sets another back row. So at this point in time, we can do a couple of things. We can do a diva play, but if he has an answer, he doesn't have an answer. You could be in trouble here. And Brio also will miss his timing because of the Goblin Zombie. So I just feel like playing it kind of slow is fine here. Where second turn of the game, there's no real need to try to bring out a Brio or make a big Goyo push into a face down when you think it could be a Raiko or something. So at this point, I'm not sure what he has face down. I'm still just hoping that it's another Vayu so I can maybe rip a card here. So unfortunately, it's the Raiko. If I don't summon Spirit Reaper there, then he's just gonna Raiko my back row. So he ended up milling the other Sirocco. So another play we could have made, like I said, is just not summon anything and attack with the Goblin Zombie there. So that was an option. Or we could have kind of gone into some synchro plays, but I just don't feel like that's really a good play at this point in time in the game. It's just too early. So here, this is a mistake here. There's no need for me to set this bottomless. I'm not sure why I did. I think I got nervous when I realized he definitely had a Vayu play going off, and he's kind of playing passive. I don't know if he's waiting to try to kill me in one turn here, because now he's got 2 darks. I don't know what he was doing. So I set a bottomless on top of Torrential. Very bad. Because we see that he has heavy. I very rarely get pro heavied, and I actually did in the finals here, so that was a great move by him. This bottomless is not necessary. So I did this, I think I mentioned this in one other video, sometimes you just get nervous and you're setting cards and you're not really thinking here. I think there's one game I set double bottomless. I didn't end up getting punished for it, but it wasn't the right play. So here, I already have Torrential. There's no real need to set bottomless here. And I end up just giving him a +1 here when he heavies me, and there was no need for that. So that was bad play here, something that we were able to pick up on. So if you already have a Mirror Force set, there's no real reason to set a bottomless. You have some defense already, unless you're worried about a whirlwind play or something like that. But in his situation, what is he going to do that I need to activate bottomless on? That I just can't activate Torrential on, right? So that was redundant. There was no need for that. And I wouldn't have been able to bottomless anyway, and I probably wouldn't have torrential that. So both of my cards would have still been sitting here if he didn't have heavy. So he's making a big push here. I don't know if he's trying to go for game here. I have a Tragodia at least, so I don't think I'm going to die. So here's a prime example. He brings out Brio. He's using a lot of resources here, so he has to... this is a turn that he's trying to really set up and win the game, and if he's not able to do that, then I'm probably going to be able to break his board. Just based on my hand here, I have a Tragodia Deep Sea play, I have a Synchro play already. And now he's giving me back Goblin Zombie. So we drop it on the first attack. There's no reason not to. He can't run it over, and now we have to make him decide if he wants to send the Tragodia back to my hand. Which, he does do. Okay, so he pitches a Crow. So now I know he's on Crow. One Crow is already gone, so that's good. I side deck out a lot of my cards that can get crowed. Anyway, there's still a few. You have to play some of the zombies. Plague Spreader is still very important. It can get crowed, and Zombie Master occasionally. But other than that, everything else is pretty much gone. So what do we do here? I think at this point in time, just looking at the way this board is, he has no cards in his hand. He has one card set. I think we would just set Goblin Zombie and set a bunch of Spell and Trap because he can't send everything back to my hand. Yep. So now I'm going to make him decide. He has to hit I have 2 options to stop his board here with the Wing Blast and the Mirror Force. And Dust, if he hits that with Brio, then I just chain it. So we're okay with this play. If he just decides to bounce my monster, then I can Mirror Force. So that's what I do, but unfortunately he has Solemn, which is fine. We let the attack go through. So at this point, probably search Mizuki. Yep, that's the play. He knows I have Trag again, so I don't drop Trag here. Wait a minute. Did he attack? Yeah, okay, I took the damage. Do I drop Trag? Yes, I don't know if we were lagging or not. So yeah, I do drop Trag. I was confused what to happen there. And the end phase, I'm Wing Blasting the back row because he just said it, can't chain it, and I have a big push this turn here. I have the double diva play essentially with the Goblin Zombie, and I can turn Tragodia into a level 4 or level 3. So this is where we probably are just gonna try to win the game. He's at 4th, and then we top Brain Control. So he beats us with Brain Control. We essentially top Brain Control. We didn't need this card. We were still going to win the game before that. And we have a Dust set in case he tops a trap. So we're in a good position here. Does he have anything in his graveyard? He still has a Vayu play here after I kill this guy. But he's not going to live long enough to see it. And that's game. He's at 4,000, so we just take the Brio and we attack directly. So game 3. So game 1, we kind of we worked pretty hard. Could have made 1 or 2 different decisions, but ultimately wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game. Trap Dust Shoot's just really good, and I had a poor hand on top of it. So game 2, I think I played well enough aside from setting the bottomless. That wasn't necessary. That's something that I've worked on since. You know, I am very cautious when I set cards in general. I really try to hold everything I have and try to have my opponent just spend resources and resources on my cards, and I'm just really trying to be greedy with what I have. So I've worked on that, but that's definitely a good learning point here from the video. And let's see game 3. So game 3 is not a bad hand here. It's at least playable. I side deck in the Sirokkos. They're okay in this matchup. They're just beat over most of the monsters, and at least you can like kind of pump and boost over the level 6 synchro. So it's not that bad. It's better against the Blackwings, but so let's see here. So heavy magic and trap removal. He plays a lot of spells and traps. I think he plays 3D Prison, 3 Dust Tornado. He plays a lot. He's a heavy trap deck. So he actually sends the Plague, which is interesting. So I have to watch out. He's already on 3 darks. Not that it matters anyway. I don't really have a whole lot. So if he drops Dark Arm here, I'm like, he's just going to get a +2, or a +1 rather. So he uses Plague right off the bat. So he doesn't synchro. He's very conservative when he plays this deck. He plays this deck well. A lot of players just like pitch these guys at the graveyard and you know, make the 2300 synchro, the Armed Wing, and like they just try to drop as much damage as they can. And when these guys are gone from the graveyard, you lose a lot of your gas. Like that's it. So he's very slow with the deck. He kind of plays the deck almost controlling, like you know, with the Rykos, flips, destroys, maybe puts a little bit of damage on the board. He just plays very slow. He doesn't try to do the whole all-out OTK. You know, the deck can do that, but he plays very slow. So I mirror force this. It makes sense. There's no real reason not to. So at this point, I'm actually feeling pretty good. You know, I'm up a decent amount of cards, but the reality is Vayu never had many cards in the hand because they just play from the graveyard. So it's kind of one of those false sense of securities. I'm like, oh, I have 5 cards in my hand. He has 3, but he actually has a live monster in the graveyard, so that's already 4, and he's on the draw. He's at 5, so really not much advantage here. In this situation here, I have a book. So I'm kind of setting up, what do we got here? The Vayu play. So we just attack. I think setting Plague and setting the Book of Moon is fine in case we draw something like a Goblin Zombie. We can just summon in synchro and maybe win the game with an MST on the back row or something. Or if we draw a Caius or something like that. So unfortunately, he tops MST because this Brain Control is really going to be able to keep the Sirocco on the board. It was going to be an answer to a lot of his plays, but you know, MST is MST. Could have made the argument to set a Dust Tornado or an MST, but after that heavy last game, I was like petrified, so or terrified to even do that. So let's see what he does here. What's his hand? So this card is busted in this deck. Raiko and Crow. So his hands, these two are not that great in this situation. Not terrible, but this card here is really good. So let's see. This would be a Book of Life most of the time, but I sided it out to make the Crow dead, which, you know, right now it is essentially. But so he's going to make the synchro play now, and he killed the Book of Moon. So because if I have Book here, I at least can book one attack, and then he could do the same play and make another armed wing, and at least he'll kill the Sirocco, but maybe I still have my Plague on the board. Now he sets a Raikou. And then, of course, I draw Kaya. So if I book a Moon here, I book one attack. I have, Plague. I can MST if he sets a back row. And then I sack for Kaius. I hit the Raikou. I run that over. And, if I really wanted to, I could smash this guy main phase 2 because he has a Plague in the graveyard. So that's what we would do. And that would leave him with one card in hand. And I would have a Dust Tornado, an MST, and Kaius on board. But he has MST, so or if he had heavy there, it would be the same situation. So at this point, I'm going to try to do. I can still make that play with Plague. I just have to stack one of the MST or the Dust. That's what we do. Unfortunately, his last card is Crow, so that's a problem here. So we just smash one and set the Dust because. So I'm curious to see what he draws here. So he draws a Raikou, so he would have been able to at least out the Kaius with a Raikou next turn. But at this point, we're kind of in trouble now. So you can make the argument. I set the Dust Tornado mainly because I know I play 3 Turtle. And if I top deck Turtle and he hasn't used his Raikou yet, I'm in a really bad position because he's just going to Raikou the Turtle. Obviously, if I top deck Goblin Zombie, then setting the Dust Tornado is awful because you can just attack the Goblin into that. So you have to kind of play to the odds, right? What are the odds I draw a Pyramid Turtle over a Goblin Zombie? So that was my thought process. Plus, he has no Magic or Trap right now, so I feel like Dust Tornado might as well just be a... And oh, that's right. I'm drawing the MST, which I knew I was drawing. So we're in a bad situation. He draws a Vayu, which is pretty dead. We draw Torrential, which he's never going to play into. I'm hoping here that he flips this card, obviously, so I can Torrential and kind of just stop dealing damage, but he doesn't do it because there's no real reason to. Why not just attack and see if I activate something? And, of course, I don't have anything. So at this point, he's never flipping that card, and then I draw another Kaya. So game 3... I think I probably could have won if I just set an MST with the book, but this is always hindsight's always 20/20. When you're looking at a review of the game, you can always nitpick about things you could have done. Losing the Book of Moon there really, I know it doesn't sound like much, but that really made the difference of the game. And game 1, I didn't really get to play much, so this was the finals. I doubt I was going to beat him 2 matches anyway, so he's a really good player. So this is conclusion of RBET-5. I ended up getting 2nd place. I think there was close to 200 players. Again, I'm being very transparent. You can sit here and look, and you see my hand. You're seeing all the plays I make, and we're reviewing the tape. So you're going to see, differences or misplays or little, decisions I could have made differently. And like I say, if you watch any one of your games or any of, anyone else's games, there's always different decisions you could have made. And that affect the outcome of the game. So next series will be Worlds, Edison Worlds. It's going to be about 5 rounds. I think every match is worth posting because every player has topped an RBET essentially, or got a pass down invite. They performed well in the tournament. So there was about 50 players or 40 players in the tournament, between 40 and 50 players. So these are considered like the best of the best Edison players. And we will go through the matches. I think it was like 5 rounds and then top 8. And I did top 8 that event. So we will run through those matches. And then I'm close to 100 subscribers, which once we hit the 100 range, we can, I think it's probably makes sense to start streaming because maybe we'll have more than 2 people that watch the stream. I'm hoping to have a few people at least show up. That way it's worth it. If nobody shows up, then we'll have to wait until we get some more subscribers and more people to watch the content. But anyway, the video is going up, and if you have any questions, comments, leave them below, and I'll catch you on the next one.